Hi, I'm Blake Schofield, founder and CEO of The Bridge to Fulfillment. Mom to 3, USA Today top 10 professional coach, and former corporate executive who got tired of sacrificing my life for a comfortable paycheck. My mission is to expand perspectives to achieve greater impact at home and work without sacrifice. This is The Bridge to Fulfillment. Welcome back to another episode of The Bridge to Fulfillment. Today I'm going to talk about a concept that I really hope opens up your perspective, because while it might seem high level or theoretical, I found that its practical application can completely change your life. I'm going to start with this quote today. The world exists as you perceive it. It is not what you see, but how you see it. It is not what you hear, but how you hear it. It is not what you feel, but how you feel it. That's from Rumi. There's so much truth in that, because here is the truth as I have come to understand and live. There's nothing stronger than lived experience. And often we are taught that what people tell us, what the books say, what our parents say, what our religion says, what somebody else tells us is the truth. And one of the biggest challenges I think we have in life is that we are not taught to challenge our perspectives, other people's perspectives, the reality of which we're living in. And as a result, we believe that everything we see, feel, or hear is truth. And we often believe it's the only truth, that there's no other option except that the ones that we see. Certainly that is where I was 7+ years ago, when I was sitting in a corporate career that I could clearly see wasn't working for me. And it felt very black or white, my choices, this or that. And I really didn't understand at the time that I was creating my own reality, and that I had the ability to change it in ways that have blown my mind since. And my experience is no different than yours. But what it does require is beginning to look at the world and challenge it and see it differently. For me, that started with surrounding myself with people who had a different perspective and started challenging me that maybe there was more possibility for my life. And as I began to see examples of where other people had achieved things I wanted to achieve, it helped me to start to see a path that maybe it was possible for me too. Since then, my life has radically transformed in the last 7 years. And what I really have come to understand is at the deepest level, everyone is creating their own reality. But we believe that the reality we see is what other people see. And we believe that we see the entirety of what's truly possible. And I would tell you that is so far from the truth. So what do you do with this information? Okay, great, Blake. I can create my own reality. There's more possibility for me. What do I do with that? Here's what I want to begin to challenge you. When you are faced with a situation that you feel emotionally triggered, stressed by, unhappy by, you want to change, but you feel like you can't, stop and actually ask yourself, what do I believe to be true? What do I believe are the barriers? What do I believe is actually possible? And then start challenging if that's really true. Well, and then from there, you can either research and see if other people have done what you want to do, find a trusted friend or mentor who is not emotionally involved and can offer you a true perspective that's removed from any emotion or any tie to you, and be willing to challenge the things that you believe to be true. The second thing I would tell you is probably one of the fastest ways to begin to see reality versus how you see it. Those of us that tend to be, learn how to be rule followers and are people and want to help people, often we look at the world again, well, often we look at the world through rose-colored glasses because that's how we are, right? We see the world as we are. But often we don't see the world as it is. And there's a discrepancy in that. Now, sometimes we look at the situations that are challenging and we blame ourselves when actually we never were the person to blame. Often we blame other people when the circumstances are actually teaching us something that's for our benefit. Or often we ignore the evidence we're being presented with because it doesn't align with our belief system or what we want to be true. So what if you just approached every circumstance with no attachment? And you started looking at the people around you, the circumstances around you, and what were the patterns that kept showing up? And there was no attachment to it. You didn't need it to go a certain way. You just started to watch and see what happened. When you allow yourself the opportunity to see that, what I have learned is that the patterns won't lie. They'll start to show you the reality that maybe you hadn't seen. And that is a truly beautiful thing. You know, for me, when I left my corporate career, it was because I had had a pattern over and over and over again of thinking the next promotion or the next job or the next company was going to make me happy. And I saw the pattern 6 to 9 months after every one of those new jobs. I was falling back into the same situation where I was unfulfilled, unhappy, and then looking for what was next. The pattern was showing me the truth. What I was doing wasn't working. And there were a lot of belief systems that kept me there. I've also seen relationships where somebody has said they were doing things, said that they would follow through on things, but then when I really watched the pattern, I saw that that wasn't true. I saw a consistent pattern of somebody promising things and then not delivering on them. And it was data and information to help me. Whereas in the past, I might have come up with excuses for why that person didn't do what they said they were going to do, or felt responsible to be able to help make sure that I was so clear that there was no way they could misunderstand what I had said. But when I could remove myself and just see it for what it was, it became very clear. I've done this process now over and over and over again in my life, in the people around me, in the circumstances around me. And what I constantly see is that life is always teaching you lessons. The question is, are you listening? And are you learning what you're being gifted? Most of the time, we actually aren't learning. We don't realize that the things happening are actually working for us. And because we want to see the world a certain way, we aren't seeing the reality in front of us. And what I can tell you from this is the mirror sometimes can be challenging, but it is the most freeing thing in the whole world. Because when you begin to realize that the possibilities for your life are limitless, that you have the capability and the ability to create everything that you want in your life, it's freeing beyond belief. But often that requires us, right, to see the things that we haven't seen, to understand the places where we either have blamed ourselves and we weren't to blame, or where we've blamed others or circumstances where it was actually trying to teach us a lesson. And yet, like I said, if you begin to understand the power behind this work, you will see the ability to transform your life in the most amazing ways. What I often say is 95% of the things in our life that feel stressful or make us unhappy or emotionally trigger us or we feel trapped by, 95% of those things are misalignments that can be changed. You have the power to change and create the life you want. And to me, there's nothing more amazing and magical and inspirational than that. And so my hope today in opening your perspective is to start to help you look at and challenge the reality of your life as you see it. And when there are places that don't feel like what you want them to be? How do you start challenging the assumptions you have that are making you feel like you can't change them? And when you start looking at the patterns of your life, how do you look at the reality of that and what it's teaching you? Because it's always working for you, not to you. Thanks so much for joining me this week. Until next time, have a great one.